We forgot one of our announcements. My talk today is called Wild Goose Chase. I'm going on a wild goose chase with Maureen for a couple of weeks. We're going to be with a family in Florida. We're going to be with a family. We're doing a wedding there. And while we're gone, we're leaving you in the capable hands of two of the most marvelous presenters that I know on the planet. One of them is Paul Zapkar. And the other one is someone many of you don't know about. His name is Terry McBride. And Terry is an amazing presenter and speaker. He's been in every single church I've ever spoken at several times. He wrote a book called The Hell I Can't, and he healed himself of an incredible illness that he should have died from, and he didn't. And he speaks with power and authority, and you'll not want to miss him when he tells his story, and come to his workshop as well, too. So I'm going to give you Mary Morrissey's last 3 weeks of Prosperity Plus program in 18 minutes. Are you ready for it? Pay attention, we're going to go fast. Okay? So there's a glass jar now, imagine with me, and it's got a neck on it like this, and then it comes down the bottom like this. Do you see the glass jar? There's a goose in that jar. And your assignment is to get the goose out of the jar without breaking the glass or harming the goose. You got it? Right? You with me now? Glass jar, do you see it? It's right here. There's a goose in it. You got to get it out without harming the goose or breaking the jar. How do you do that? Well, you imagine the goose in, you imagine the goose out. That's the talk. Let's take an offering and get out of here. You are made in God's image and after God's likeness. God imagined you into being. You come from that oneness. You don't like the word God, use oneness, use love. You come from love, you come from oneness. You are made in the image and likeness of that love. And then that love says, go and create your world in your own image and likeness. Go for it. Create it. Design anything you want. God will say, yes, yes, yes. But it begins in your mind. That's where it starts, right? That's where it all begins, in your mind. I'm at the gym where I spend most of my time, and there's a beautiful black African-American 35-year-old who works out there. He's just gorgeous. And he's got dreadlocks, and he's got a little hat, cap that people who have dreadlocks wear. And he works out, he keeps all to himself. I've never gotten eye contact from him. He's been there for the 2 years I've been there. He works out really hard. And I've always sort of taken him to be kind of aloof, but you know, basically, sometimes, Jay, you just want to go and be left alone and go work out. And so Maureen was in the hot tub with him, not alone, by the way. I don't think I'd allow that. He's gorgeous. But it's the YMCA, a public place. And she's sitting there with him, and she said, I met this really beautiful man. He's got the kindest, gentlest face I've ever seen. And he has dreadlocks. And I said to him, I really love your dreadlocks. And he said, it's funny that you mentioned that. I think I'm going to cut them off. I've had them for years, and I'm thinking about doing it. And then that was the end of the conversation. About 4 days later, I walk into the hot tub. You know how we are. We're so obnoxious, nerdy people. And he's in the tub. And I look at him, and I say to him, you did it, man. You did it. You did it. You look terrific. You look great. And he kind of smiles, and we have that connection. All of a sudden, you see someone you haven't seen, and you see each other. He said, you know, I've been thinking about doing this for months. I've had this hair for 11 years. My girlfriend said, don't do it. But I had to first see it in my mind before I could produce it after it's kind. And I said, 14 years ago, I did the same thing. I had long, blonde hair. I didn't tell him this part. It was part of my Maury Povich show look, you know? The truth was, I was done with that image of what I used to look like. I was ready for a makeover, a changeover outwardly in me, but I couldn't do it until I made the change inwardly in my mind. It took me a real long time to see myself without that hair. And then I'm at Supercuts in Hawaii getting my hair cut. And it's amazing how 11 years worth of hair growth can come off in just 2 seconds. Boom, it was gone. And I just felt naked and a bit ashamed. What have I done with my image? And I walked out into the street, and I assumed everyone was staring at me. And the truth was, no one was staring at me. They'd never seen me in my old image. They'd only seen the one that I am now. It took me a while to catch up with that image, but to everybody else, it was just this guy with short hair. So I walked into the thrift store where Maureen had gone while I was getting my hair cut. This is a big moment for me because she's important to me. So she walks over to me, God bless her heart, and she walks around 3 times and she's flopping with my hair, and she goes, God, I haven't seen the back of your neck in 11 years, and she goes, it looks cute. I like it. Thank God she liked it. Took me months to catch up with really feeling comfortable with it myself. But once I did, I said, yeah, what did I wait so long for? Much easier to take care of. And then I was traveling for a couple of years after that to the mainland. I'd have to re-show it to new people who'd only known me with long hair and deal with their reaction. But the truth was, it didn't matter. I was now comfortable with myself and how I looked. I didn't care whether or not they liked it or not. That's a big lesson in this, right? Yes? Yes. So Mary says everything begins as a vision that you hold in your mind. And she's actually in the class asking us to do something, and I'm going to ask you to do as well while we're gone. And that's to write a vision for our life, as it relates to our life. To write a vision of your body. Well, if you were no limits, what would you like your body to look like? In positive statements. I'm grateful and so happy that my body is. Not what you don't like about your body, which we all have a long list of, but the vision of what you'd like to see your body look like. Something you'd like to take a look at and see in your life, to hold that vision. She says, do it with your relationship life. If they had no limits, what would your relationship life look like? Or your creative life, or your financial flow. Begin to see that in your mind as an image that you hold of yourself. It all starts with an image in your mind, which then produces after its kind. Hold that vision for yourself of what you think you'd like yourself to be. And don't be afraid to let the sky be the limit on what you imagine and envision yourself to be. She also said, as I did last week, life is like an open book. Yes? On the left side is all the stuff that's been so far. It's your storyline. It's the culmination of your thoughts, your words, your deeds, your habit patterns. All the stuff that's who you've been so far. That's the left side. And then the right side is what she calls a brand new baby day. Welcome to this brand new baby day. New, fresh start. It's clean, it's fresh. It's right there. Yes, yes. My new life, my new day. And we said last week, it's good to put on the top of that page, I consent to the presence of Spirit. Yeah? Say that with me.
I consent to the presence of Spirit.
That's just the beginning, though. Then it's a fill in the blank. I am that I am says, then what do you want to see on that blank page? She likens it unto radio frequencies. This part of your life, all the stuff that's part of your past, it vibrates at a certain frequency. Let's say it's 88.4 on the FM dial. That's your style. That's what you've been listening to for a long time. You like it. You're comfortable with it. There are other people who believe what you believe. They vote for the same people. They have the same conversations. They watch the same movies. They're all on the wavelength of 88.4 with you. You're comfortable with it. Yeah? Everybody has their comfort zone. It's right here. But then all of a sudden, like our 13 new members and all the rest of you are committed to this practice, you walk into unity with all of your 88.4 issues and tissues, and you walk in, and for a moment you experience 105.6. Oh yeah! A whole different way of being. A consciousness that somehow inside of you, you've known your whole life has been true, and there are people who believe in this. Holy guacamole, what a great gift! And you begin to feel what it might feel like to change the vibrational frequency with which you resonate at. And how this works is you don't drag 105.6 down to 88.4. You need to lift your vibrational field up. Jesus said, as I be lifted up, I lift all men unto me. So you shift your vibrational frequency, and then everything begins to change and rearrange around you. You begin to attract different things to you, and you need to keep challenging yourself to keep lifting up your vibrational field. And throughout the day, do what I call moment-by-moment frequency adjustments. We've been getting ready to go on this huge trip, and we always get at it with each other. There's so many details, and then there's getting ready for the trip, and so we went at it one particular moment, and I went, wait a minute, I forgot, this is a baby brand new day. It's only 9 o'clock in the morning. I consent to the presence of Spirit. I walked over to Maureen and I said, I consent to the presence of Spirit. She goes, well, so do I. And it was gone. You see, because all the problems you have at 88.4 do not exist at 105.6. They're not there. They're gone. Gone, finished. You change your frequency, the energy that you're resonating to, and then everything changes for you. Immediately, it's gone. What was dragging you down before doesn't do it, because it doesn't exist except in your mind. So the new day is a brand new, fresh start. What would this day look like for you today if you believed that that were true and you held a vision for that to be true? So I'm not a treasure mapper. I've never done a treasure map. Some of you have treasure mappers? I've always thought, treasure maps, future. I'm in the now. I'm Buddhist. I'm happy right now. I don't need to put anything on a piece of paper or pictures of me. I love doing this. I've been so inspired by writing a vision down. I've been carrying it around in my pocket, looking at it. I am so grateful and happy that my relationships, my creativity, my financial flow, wow, it just feels good. And you don't pick things that you're not going to believe are possible for you. Do you hear that now? You want to be able to pull back the corner of your mind that's believable for you. So if your financial life is at $30,000 a year, and you decide to say, well, in 1 year I'm going to make $30 million a year, my friend, that's going to be too big of a gap from 88.4 to 100.56. You're going to drop the whole thing and walk out the door and not want anything to do with that frequency shift. Because you're not going to believe that it's possible for you to do that for yourself. So you pick something that is possible. Let's say you're 60 years old. You decide, hey, I'm going to become a runner. I'm going to start running, and in 1 year I'm going to run the Boston Marathon. You know what? That's probably not going to happen. Don't go in the la-la land with it. Pick something you can believe in. The faith of the grain of a mustard seed. What will you? Maybe a 5K by the end of the year. That's doable. That's doable. If you don't meditate now, and you've never meditated, and you say to yourself, well, tomorrow morning I'm starting a regime of every day I'm meditating for 2 hours, you won't do it. So pick something you will do and have the vision for it. Not be addicted to it, because the thing is, when you're being pulled by a vision, it's better than being dragged around by appearances. It's just more fun to be alive in your vision for your life. So be specific, but be open and let it keep changing for you. Just being involved with the co-creative process. God just says, you are my baby, go have a good time, here's some energy, go enjoy. The prodigal son walked out the door and went, and began to live a life of default. You see, if you're not holding a vision for yourself, you're living by default. Yes? So, yesterday plops onto the page of today. And that becomes tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. Same behavior patterns, different day. What do they say? Same BS, different day? Belief system? You understand what I'm saying now? So you decide what it's going to be for you. I like being actively involved in this way in my life. I'm enjoying this process. I knew we'd be excited about this, but I can't believe how really thrilled I am to be doing this. This is really kind of fun, you know? And I'm not addicted to the outcome. It's not about the outcome. It's about participating in your life. Not letting it happen to you, but let it move through you. Yeah, whatever that is for you. Design the life you'd love to live. Because God will say, yes, you put the goose in the jar, you get the goose out of the jar. 1976, I walk into Unity of Boulder with Jack Rover. And I've got hair down on the floor, I'm sitting in a full Lotus, I'm driving a trash truck, I got a wife and 3 kids, live in a community with other people, and I get this, I'm going to be a Unity minister. Yeah, whoa, what the heck is that? I'm going to be a Unity minister. It started off as an idea that had no physical proof or evidence of it. It began as an idea that I held in my mind. Came home and told Maureen, and she said, oh yeah. You know what my dad said when I told him I wanted to be a Unity minister? I could say, this is my favorite little joke about this. He said, Dad, I'm going to be a Unity minister. He said, if you can find some way to get people to pay for the BS that comes out of your mouth, you should make a fortune. I said, thanks for your blessing, Dad. It's special. So I have to hold Belief system. I had to hold that in my mind through difficult times. I got rejected 3 times to ministerial school. I mean, I had to keep saying, I've got this vision. Maureen becoming a midwife. She decided in her mind she was going to be a midwife. It starts where? As an idea in your mind that then produces after its kind. It starts in the idea stage. It doesn't mean you don't do anything after you have the great vision or idea. It means then you're called to commit yourself to living out of the vision as if it were already so. To begin to see yourself already in that role, playing that role. What would it be like to be a minister? I started thinking about that. I started seeing myself doing that. I felt myself. Maureen felt herself being a midwife while she went to school and worked her behind off and many times wanted to quit and not keep doing it. It's not that you just have, all I have to do is just have the thought and talk about it, and then I'll just have the thought, talk about it, have the thought, and talk about it. No, then you do what? Paula, you know this, then you start walking it. You start living out of it. You start doing the things you need to do to make the shifts in consciousness for it to happen. And even if none of it happens the way you think it's supposed to, it's just fun to be involved with your life. So we are told in our group that we need to be specific but open. And again, make it believable for you. Something you could believe about your life and your body, your relationships, your creativity, your financial flow. And then you do something. In this class, we are called to challenge everything that happens at 88.4. One of them is making a commitment for 10 weeks to tithe time, talents, treasures, and money to the new vision of you, being supported by the beloved presence of Spirit. And we were told a good thing to do, an important thing to do, is do a clean out. Clear out clutter that's in your physical life. Find something that needs to be cleaned out and cleared out. Because we've all got gunk in our spiritual arteries that we need to clear out. It's ours to do. I've got to clean out my closet. I had 20 shirts and jackets and coats that are large. I'm never going to be a large again, and I don't wear them. So I gave them to someone else. Maureen, she worked cleaning the clutter up in her desk. Somebody else organized the purse. You do these things. You participate in the process. You just don't say, well, I'll just wait for it to happen because I'll just consent to Spirit. You do something, and you speak of your vision. You hold it before you. When I think of the greatest example of that is Philip Pennington. When I met Philip Pennington, within an hour, he told me his vision of Galilee by the Sea 2 years ago. He held it in his mind, done a lot of work to produce it after its kind, and it may never ever be finished, and by the way, it won't. It's never finished, it ain't done. It's a process, but he's living out of his vision, and that's an exciting thing to do. Do you hear that? When you lift up your vibrational frequency, other people who lift up their vibrational frequency are already there with you. They become attracted to you. What did I say last week? Your life and every detail in it is custom designed by the cosmic mind with the real you in mind. Helping you do that every step of the way. Consciousness begins to shift and change in you, and miracles happen. Wednesday, we get a call from Eleanor. Eleanor says, would you please come down and come to the church? Richard and Maureen, and we went, why sure, because I just want to show you something. So she takes us to the back, and why don't you bring the camera with you? This is a good one. You can move it. This is a professional photographer. She said, I just got this idea in mind to produce something after its kind, and I decided it was time to clean out this closet. This closet has been a disaster for 3 years. You damage yourself walking in there. Take a look at that room. That room is now organized. It's got shelves in it. She picked up on the cosmic design of the energy, producing it after a kind. Her vibrational frequency matched with ours, and she did a miracle for us. Literally, this is my miracle for the week. Thank you, Eleanor. Yes, for clearing out the closet. Yay! It's finally done. And by the way, if there's some part of this church that's messy and you don't like it, guess who's supposed to be doing it to help get it cleaned up? Not me, I'm the big mouth. Maureen and Ned are very busy. You know, it's your job, it's your church. This is our divine experiment. This is the house of God. If you want to see something happen here and you hold the vision for it, it will. It'll happen. This is your place to experiment here in Unity of Wilmington. It's a fun thing to do, don't you think? To be involved with your life? Yeah? Yes? So can you think about that this week? I'm going to come back and check and make sure in 2 weeks that you've done this. So again, with your body, with your relationships, with your creativity, your financial flow, keep it as a vision that you'll hold in your mind. The one I know I'll be working on, I know this for sure, is the relationship one. It's already started with phone conversations with my family. My relationships. I am eternally grateful that everyone I have met or will ever meet tomorrow is recognized by me as a holy encounter with my own divine self. And everyone I meet, I will see a mirror reflection of my own holy Christ self. Because when I go, the tendency is to judge them as those who hang out at 88.4. And I'm spiritual 105.6. And then I judge them, and I don't see them. And I'm not really there with them. I just judge them. Would you pray with me, please, that I don't do that this time? Yes? I will pray with you as well, okay? So let's go to our lesson summation. I'll start screaming at you and we'll move on here. Wild goose chase. If you have the faith the size of a mustard seed, you know, just enough to pull back a little bit, a little corner of your mind, you will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you. 105.6, everything becomes possible. And this is from Ramana Maharshi. All spiritual effort is simply to get rid of the mistaken impression that one is limited and bound by the woes of samsaric existence. 88.4. A wild goose chase of the same thing, day after day after day. And finally, up at the top, this week you have an assignment. I don't ever give you an assignment, do I? You're going to get some homework now. Create a vision statement for these 4 areas of your life. Your body, if there were no limits. Your relationship life. Your creative life, and your financial flow. Clear out some part of your life that is stuffed with energy that keeps you vibrating at 88.4. See, we already came up one frequency on the dial, just by being in this room. You feel the lifting up? And this is a Richard Levyism I'll leave you with. You're either living your life by design or caught up in a wild goose chase of seek and do not find. It all happens right here, within your own mind. Yes? Practice well. Practice deeply. I will. See you next week. Aloha. Aloha. Aloha.